Daniel is 34 years old. He earns more money than he has ever earned in his life. He has a good job and a nice car and a flat that looks exactly like the kind of flat a successful person in their mid-30s is supposed to have. And he cannot explain why he feels more financially anxious now than he did at 26 when he was earning almost half of what he earns today. The savings account is not growing the way it should be. The end of the month still feels tight even though the beginning of the month feels comfortable. And when Daniel sits down and actually tries to account for where the money goes, the numbers do not quite add up in a way he can easily explain. If this sounds familiar, it is because Daniel is not unusual. He is in what we are going to call the 30S trap, a specific and largely invisible financial pattern that catches a huge number of people in their 30s at exactly the moment when they are earning enough to build something genuinely significant. And the reason it is dangerous is not because the individual decisions look wrong. Every single thing Daniel spends money on makes complete sense on its own. The danger is in what the real math reveals when you step back and look at all of it together. Today we are going to look at exactly what that real math is and why your 30s specifically are the most financially consequential years of your life, and what the 30S trap costs you not just now but 20 years from now when the numbers finally become impossible to ignore. Let us start with the pattern itself, because most people have heard the phrase lifestyle creep without ever having it explained in a way that makes them recognize it in their own life. Lifestyle creep is not overspending. It is not reckless behavior, and it is not a failure of discipline. It is the quiet and entirely natural process by which your spending rises to match your income every time your income rises. And it feels completely reasonable every single time it happens. Daniel earned £28,000 at 26. His flat cost him $600 a month, and his car was old and paid for, and his social life was cheap because everyone around him was in the same position. By 34, he earns £52,000. His flat now costs him $1,100 a month because he moved somewhere better when he got a raise, and that felt completely reasonable. His car costs him £380 a month on finance because the old one needed replacing and a newer one felt appropriate for where he is in his career. His social life costs significantly more because his friends are in their 30s now, and the dinners are at different restaurants, and the holidays are at different destinations, and the weddings, there are so many weddings, cost money in ways that simply did not exist at 26. None of these individual decisions is wrong. Every single one of them makes complete logical sense given his income and his life stage. The problem is not any one of them. The problem is that every single one of them happened at the same time, and the combined effect is that Daniel's expenses grew by almost exactly the same amount as his income. He earned more and spent more and saved almost the same proportion as he did at 26 when he earned far less. And this is why your 30s are uniquely dangerous. Your 20s are usually too tight for lifestyle creep to do serious damage. There is simply not enough surplus income for spending to escalate dramatically. Your 40s and 50s tend to bring a clearer awareness of financial reality and a narrowing timeline that forces attention. Your 30s sit exactly in the middle. Enough income for spending to escalate significantly and enough apparent time remaining that the consequences feel distant and abstract. Now let us look at the actual numbers, because this is where the real math becomes something you cannot unsee once you have seen it. Daniel's income grew by £24,000 between 26 and 34. That is £2,000 extra per month arriving in his account. If Daniel had kept his cost of living at roughly his 26-year-old level and invested even half of that additional income, £1,000 a month, from the age of 26 onward, something specific would have happened. At a modest average growth rate of 7% per year, that £1,000 a month invested consistently from 26 to 60 would have grown to approximately £1.2 million. £1.2 million. From one decision to not let spending rise with income, made once at 26 and maintained consistently. What Daniel actually did instead is entirely normal and entirely reasonable and results in something meaningfully different. He has a comfortable life and a growing salary and almost no investment portfolio because the additional income went into the additional cost of the additional life rather than into anything that compounds. This is the real math of the 30s trap. It is not that Daniel wasted money on things that had no value. It is that every pound that goes into maintaining a lifestyle that grew with his income is a pound that permanently exits the compound interest curve. And compound interest does not forgive the years you missed. The pounds you do not invest at 34 are not simply worth £1 less at 60. At 7% growth over 26 years, each pound you do not invest at 34 is worth approximately £5.90 at 60. Every £100 per month of lifestyle creep in your 30s is not costing you £100. It is costing you £590 of future wealth for every single month it continues. That is the number nobody tells you. That is the real math. There is a layer inside the 30s trap that makes it even harder to escape than the simple math suggests. It is the social layer. In your 30s, the people around you are all going through the same income growth at roughly the same time. And the visible signals of financial success, the car and the flat and the holidays and the restaurant choices, escalate across your entire social circle. Simultaneously, this means that spending at the level of your peers in your 30s feels not just normal but appropriate. It feels like the correct response to being at this stage of life. Daniel does not feel like he is overspending. He feels like he is spending in a way that is proportionate to who he is and where he is and what the people around him are doing. And by the visible standards of his social environment, he is absolutely right. But here is what the visible standards of a social environment never show you. They show you what people spend. They never show you what people own. The colleague with the newer car may have almost no savings. The friend who just bought a house may have a mortgage that consumes most of their financial flexibility for the next 20 years. The person posting the holiday photos may have put the holiday on a credit card that will take 8 months to clear. Looking financially successful in your 30s and building genuine financial security in your 30s are two entirely different activities. And the trap is that the first one is highly visible and constantly reinforced by the world around you, while the second one is entirely invisible and almost never discussed. Daniel is very good at the first one. Almost nobody in his life would guess that his actual financial foundation is significantly weaker than his lifestyle suggests. So let us now look at what actually changes the trajectory, because understanding the trap is only useful if there is a clear and honest path out of it. Daniel did not make dramatic changes at 34. He did not sell the car and move to a cheaper flat and stop attending weddings. The changes he made were smaller and more targeted and built around a single question he had never asked himself before. Which parts of my current spending are genuinely improving my life, and which parts exist primarily because they are what someone at my level is supposed to have? That question, asked honestly about each major spending category, revealed something specific. Some of his spending genuinely improved his life in ways that mattered to him. The flat in a location he loved, and the gym he used consistently, and the occasional dinner with people he actually wanted to spend time with. Other spending existed almost entirely for the image it maintained. The car finance on a car that exceeded what he actually needed by a significant margin, and the subscriptions he had forgotten about, and the regular spending on things his social circle did that he personally found less meaningful than their costs suggested. Daniel did not change everything. He changed the things that existed for appearance rather than for genuine value in his own life. And the amount those changes freed up, redirected immediately and automatically into a simple investment account, was £420 per month. £420 per month invested consistently from 34 to 60 at 7% average annual growth produces approximately £350,000. Not from earning more. Not from a new income stream or a smarter investment strategy. From redirecting spending that existed for an audience rather than for himself. That is what escaping the 30s trap actually looks like in practice. Not a dramatic lifestyle overhaul. One honest question asked about each category of spending and a decision to stop funding the parts of your life that are performing success rather than building it. So here is the full honest picture of why your 30s are the most dangerous financial years. Not because bad things happen in your 30s. Because good things happen. Income rises and life improves and comfort feels earned and deserved. And all of that is completely true. The danger is that the same decade in which your income finally gives you the ability to build something genuinely significant is also the decade in which the social and lifestyle pressure to spend that income is at its absolute highest. And the real math, the compound interest math that does not forgive the years you missed, means that the decisions made in your 30s carry consequences that are 5 or 6 times larger than they appear at the time. Daniel is not a cautionary tale. He is simply a person who did what almost everyone around him was doing, spent in proportion to his income and his social environment without ever doing the real math on what that pattern was quietly costing his future. The question worth sitting with this week is a simple one. How much of your current spending exists because it genuinely improves your life and how much of it exists because it maintains an image of financial success that your actual financial position does not yet reflect? You do not have to answer it dramatically. You just have to answer it honestly. Share this with someone in their 30s who keeps saying they do not know where the money goes despite earning more than they ever have, because the 30s trap is almost always exactly where it is hiding. I will see you in the next one.